Eagle, countdown.
Yeah, if you would read the messages, that would
Oh
be
my
great.
god. And we're live.
Eagle, I'm waiting for my countdown.
Your countdown was in chat.
I was also giving you a countdown and you looked away from the camera.
Welcome, everyone. You're listening to it, perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. I'm your host, Keith Delarice.
You guys want to try that again?
No, it's fine.
All right.
I'm your host, Keith Delarice. I am joined by Terry Tam and Eagle, our producer. We are not together. We are separated. We are based in Montreal, Quebec, and in Quebec, the province. As of today, for 28 days, weird amount of days to be chosen, especially when you consider the horror movies that have the name 28 Days and 28 Days Later. But the government has decided that we cannot convene together in the studio. So unfortunately, for the next 4 shows or so, we will be doing this virtually once again. It's not the same show when we're not together. We can't react to a lot of the video clips. We can't do a lot of things that we normally do. We can't have the same kind of good time, but we're going to try and have a good time anyway, and we're going to focus a lot on bringing great guests this month. And we start strong because it is the NBA Finals, Terry. And later today, we interview Carlan Gay.
I'm pumped to interview Carlan Gay. And he's one of our. I was trying to look to see which episode he was on. I think he was number 3. Something's wrong with my camera. Do you guys see what I see?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know what you see, so that's an impossible question to answer. I'm not inside
weird.
your mind, Terry.
Or my eyes. So yeah, Carlan is one of our first guests. I don't know if he was our first one though. That's a good question. It might have been
I want to say
Shaquille
the
Finn.
first one was Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaquille Finn.
Akeem was in there too, like the top 5. But he was one of the first 3 for sure. And Carlan's great, man. He's probably one of the most informative guys when it comes to the sport of basketball that we've had on here for sure.
Also, fun fact, if you play Fortnite twice, you basically get out of the quarantine. Get it?
I have no idea what that
Because
means.
Fortnite is 14 days, so if you play it twice...
Is anyone
nerd.
with you? Is anyone with you?
There is no one here. You want me to hit myself?
Okay, so there's nobody who can throw something at you?
Yeah.
Take the Chetty's garlic sauce and just smash it over your forehead.
Yeah,
But
please
it's
just do
gonna
that.
burn. It's
Because
so
this
spicy.
episode is brought to you by Chetty's Hot Sauce.
Well done. Very
Visit chetty'shotsauce.ca and use hot sauce 25 for 25% off the entire website.
It does remind me though that if I'm you know what, I'm not really in the mood for Chetty's because I love Chetty's. I have it all the time, but I want to change it up, and I'm reminded I got some meat. It's got to be rubbed down. What sauce goes best with meat that's been heavily rubbed?
The Mike's BBQ rub. It's called La Sauce. It's actually a very good barbecue sauce, and there it is on your screen right now. If it wasn't covered by Peace's face, but you can use hot sauce 10 for 10% off on Mike's BBQ Rub MTL.com for all the individual bottles, not on the packs and not on the discounted ones already. So it's 10% off already, and it's amazing. I use the barbecue sauce. The Ghost Bourbon's my favorite thing. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really good actually. There was a time not too long ago. McDonald's forgot to give me my sweet and sour sauce with some nuggets. Nuggets without sauce is garbage.
I had nuggets today with sauce, so fuck you.
Got the Mike's barbecue rub out. Ghost bourbon pepper. Excellent. Loved it. It was delicious. Terry.
No.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I just hate being here. I like being in studio. I don't want to.
I know it's weird. It's not the same. I hate it, but it is what it is. So
don't get my conspiracy theorist brain started on this whole COVID bullshit.
Well, it just seems bizarre that the timeline corresponds exactly with the reopening of schools, but what they did instead was close restaurants and restrict social gatherings.
So you can't have people over, but you can go to the mall and be like, hey, let's meet up at the mall.
Yeah, I can be in a classroom of 25 people, but I can't have us socially distant in our studio.
We can go to the gym, but we can't go to the fast food place.
Yeah, you can eat at a restaurant. Well, before this, you were able to eat at a restaurant and take your mask off, but students had to keep their masks on in class. Yeah. So plenty of contradictions here.
It's just weird. It feels like nobody actually knows what they're doing, but they're just sort of plugging it every direction, hoping that it goes away.
It's like they forget they approve an idea without realizing what the previous idea was. That's what I feel like.
Also possible. I want to talk about something, and I don't know if we'll have time to get into it with Carlan because his basketball information is just excellent, and we want to talk as much finals as possible. Jason Whitlock had an article out talking about how uh, the NBA has been ruined for him because of LeBron James, and how LeBron James is making him choose between the NBA and America. And he goes on to say, he talks about because of his involvement with Nike and China, and but then also praises Jordan. But what's interesting is Jordan Brand and Nike are a conglomerate.
Yeah.
Jordan started Jordan Brand and was a Nike athlete, and also was used to sell shoes all over the world. It's a really strange article. It just seems odd. He's entitled to his opinion, obviously. It just felt very heavy-handed, and just an attack on, again, like, I don't understand people's issue with LeBron. He doesn't seem to be a bad person. You can disagree with his politics. You can not like his play. You can think he's not as good as MJ. You can think whatever you want. But I like. From all I've seen, I haven't seen a negative thing about him. Okay, I understand the issues in China are complex, but they're not the only company that's doing that. Every company we buy from practically is running through all of the unfortunate situations in China.
It's how capitalism works. But it's not necessarily, the thing about LeBron is that people hate him for whatever reason. And like I said last week, the way he talks can kind of come off as a little arrogant, but whatever. It doesn't take away the fact that he does have a point and he does have a voice, and what he's saying, might garner some attention, needs to get some attention. The only thing is that people that think they're smarter than LeBron James are disagreeing with LeBron James. And that's the problem right now. And the problem when you have is the country's split in half. Everybody's split in half now. You have the Trumpers on one side. You have the LeBron guys on the other side. And when you have the president that had 60 million people vote for him talk shit about one person, all those 60 million people are going to talk shit about that same person. You know what I mean? And that's what's happening now. And I think that Whitlock he's a special guy, man. I don't disagree with him on a lot of things, but when it comes to situations like this where you just don't really need to speak because he contradicts himself, like you said, with the Nike thing and Michael Jordan. And I think that Whitlock is just one of those guys that he's the other side of Skip Bayless, where he's looking for a soundbite. He's looking for people to retweet. He's looking for clicks, like it's just the way he is. He's what's the word I'm using? He's the word I'm looking for. He's
an idiot.
Well, there's that. I mean, I don't think he's an idiot. I think he's a smart guy. I just think that he's a little misplaced in this right now. And I think that he's looking for, he's basically virtue signaling. He's looking for attention so people to jump on his idea of LeBron James. And I think that's where Whitlock kind of falls, is that he comes off as a pompous prick, where if he has actual facts and smart conclusions and smart ideas, then I think that people will more likely listen to him and maybe change their views on LeBron James, or the other way around. You know what I mean? It just sucks that LeBron's getting heat for just trying to be a good guy.
So LeBron's campaign, he's heavily invested in a campaign that's trying to get people to go out and vote, right? This is another thing that Whitlock had an issue with, and I was like, man, so what's your benefit to not having people vote unless you think that that's the only way your politics can survive, is if less people vote, right?
No, the problem is that so you have to. I'm going to flip it on this. Is that I don't think. I mean, you can tell people to vote. Everybody should vote. It's your right, but it's also your right to vote. If you don't want to vote, then don't vote. Mm-hmm. But it's also I'm also one of the guys where if you don't vote, then you can't really complain on who's in. But
that's sort of the campaign. LeBron's campaign is essentially is that you can't instigate change unless you vote. I would argue that, man. And so I don't want to get too heavy-handed, but when I was looking at stuff related to the Breonna Taylor trial, and I was like, man, like it almost doesn't even matter who's president, because changes need to happen at the local level, and that's where you get the least amount of votes, is in municipal elections, and that's where you can actually begin to affect change. If all the different municipalities then push the states, and the states then push the federal government, that's the way you get change, and that's not happening. His goal is to get people to vote, and obviously he wants people to vote, aligned to his side, but that's what everyone does who campaigns during election season.
Of course, and I think I think we've seen it, man. It's like politicians use celebrities all the time. We're seeing it with Biden and his whole his thing with The Rock, where The Rock endorses him and Kamala Harris, and we saw it with Joe Biden and Cardi B. Like that was probably the dumbest conversation I've ever heard. But they're using they've always used celebrities to get votes, and even Obama did it too. I mean, everybody does it. Trump does it too. Trump does it with Kanye West, and so people want to rip on people want Biden for doing it with Cardi B, but Trump does it with Kanye West. Trump did it with a bunch of people. So it's just the way politics work. They look for votes, and the thing is, when LeBron says go out and vote, he's basically telling people to go out and vote against Trump, and that's the problem that Whitlock sees. And it's like I was saying before, you see it as Whitlock not wanting people to vote against what he believes. It's also the shoes on the other foot with LeBron James. LeBron James is trying to get people to vote for what he believes. So LeBron James knows he has hundreds of millions of followers.
But the difference is that LeBron is not going out and making a public assault on Jason Whitlock.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's where the difference is. Anyway, Terry, we've gone
but
on
also,
long
if
enough.
you're going to put yourself in the line of fire, you should be able to. You're going to get some bullets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will get to bullets later, hopefully with Carlan Gay. But for now, Terry, it's the news. I don't know if we have sounders. Eagle, is there sound?
I mean, there will be sound.
We'll play it now.
Can you hum it? Can you hum it for me?
Is that what it is? Nailed it.
Terry, it's the news.
I hope your wife hates you right now.
She does. She just got home too. She's not happy because she worked a double shift and she's very tired and was hoping I'd be at the studio. But nope, I'm here causing a ruckus ahead of the Thursday night football game that no one will ever watch. Why would you make a primetime game between two teams you knew would be winless at this point in the season? But anyway, I digress.
Because you have to put them early in the season, because later in the season they're not gonna. Because everybody has to get a Thursday night game, right? So they're gonna front load all the shitty schedule, all the shitty games at the beginning. That's why we saw Jacksonville and Miami last week.
That was pretty bad too.
Yeah.
I'm a Dolphins fan, and even when they win, it's boring. So what did you see in this past week of NFL football?
I saw how the Jets are gonna jet, and we're gonna see them jet again tonight. And how Sam Darnold is only able to put up 7 points against the freaking Colts. It's not like the Colts are the Chiefs or the Ravens or whatever. And the Colts winning 36-7 last week against the Jets is scary to me. It's like, when are we going to see a successful Jets team? You know what I mean? We haven't seen any success from them since Mark Sanchez was there, and he was giving his feet to Rex Ryan's wife. It's not. It's just. It sucks because they're a major city. It's not like we're not talking about like some buttfuck team in Memphis. You know what I mean? We're talking about the New York City Jets, and it's very disheartening. And I think we know that Adam Gase is the reason, but for some reason, owners love him.
Yeah, he keeps getting hired, even though he's awful. He runs off your best talent. His game plans are very simplistic and easy to predict and easy to stop, and it's frustrating because he was known as the quarterback whisperer, but what he did to become the quarterback whisperer is make perhaps the most exciting man, Jay Cutler, Smoking Jay. He made him the most boring quarterback in the league. Nobody wants to see Jay Cutler protect the ball. You want to see him rip the ball over the field. He was Jameis Winston before there was Jameis Winston. We want that Jay Cutler all the time. How dare you? How dare you take that away from us and then go into the Jets?
Yeah, exactly. How dare
you think the city of New York's going to go? You think the city of New York's going to go 0-32 this season?
No, it's impossible because the Giants.
Possible. They're both really bad.
It is very possible. It is possible, but not. It's very unlikely. So, is it? I think it's. What are the odds that two teams finish 0-16 in the same season? Very fucking high.
Eagle, what's the odds?
Very low odds.
I mean, if they don't play each other, it's possible. I mean,
imagine they play each other and they tie.
Yeah, I like that I asked you for the odds and you just said it's possible.
But I don't know how you would even calculate odds for that, because really it's just you have to lose every game, but it's not really like so.
Well, because every game
the outcome as win or lose as a 50%.
But every game has three outcomes, right? Every game is 3
Yeah,
outcomes.
win, lose, tie, exactly. But what you also have to look at is it's not that you're flipping a coin to determine who wins a game, right? Like if you have the Jaguars playing, I don't know, the Saints. Well, maybe bad example, but the Chiefs or something. You know who's gonna win that game. Like the outcome is more likely to be Chiefs. Win.
Yeah.
So it's
but
not
let's say,
just like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 odds.
But just based on the outcomes, what would it be? Like if all teams were as bad as the Jets.
If all teams are as bad as the Jets.
Yeah, all teams are equally bad.
Well, then all teams are equally good in that sense. In which case,
there we go.
It's a coin flip.
So what are the chances then of going 0-32?
Okay, so what you're saying is the Jets are winning the
But
Super
then basically
Bowl.
you're saying the chance of winning and losing is the same.
Yes,
Exactly. What you're saying.
So then it's 50% to the power of 16.
there we go. Now you know, Terry, you learned a thing.
I learned a thing, math. So apparently, I'm very confused. Jets suck.
Yeah,
Giants
I
are better.
feel bad. So Mr. Trubisky is not a good quarterback. It's not his fault that the Bears traded up for him and drafted him ahead of Pat Mahomes. He didn't make that decision. The garbage Bears organization did. But how
short of a leash did he have though?
Well, but you knew going into the season once they signed Foles that they had to give Trubisky a look because it's a contract year. They need to know whether they're picking up the fourth-year rookie option or if they're going to be letting him go. And you knew that when Foles brought there was like, they're going to take a look, but unless he's like absolutely incredible, the first terrible mistake he makes, he's out of the game. And then Foles came and dropped his D all over the Falcons' D.
And the Falcons just pull a Falcon at this point, right? Just blowing leads and going 20-0, going down 20-0 in the fourth quarter to lose that game. It's crazy to me how Dan Quinn still has his job after 3 weeks, after blowing the lead against the Cowboys, now blowing the lead against the fucking Bears and Nick Foles. It's crazy.
So, do you think? Because I actually think Matt Ryan is just on a talent level alone, just pure skills. I think Matt Ryan's one of the best passers in the NFL and has been since early in his career. Is he the new? We always said like Phil Rivers will be the next Dan Marino. Is he the new Phil Rivers that he's going to be the next best guy to never win a Super Bowl?
That's a good point, actually. I mean, I think Phillip Rivers is one of the guys. I think Matt Ryan, we can probably hold him more to like a Tony Romo standard, where he had a lot of success, and maybe Phillip Rivers. I think that. He got that gunslinger style, right? So it's like you're going to make a lot of mistakes and they're going to cost you, but, you're going to make your mistakes big. You're going to have a lot of rewards when it comes to it, too. He played exactly like Brett Favre, where I think Tony Romo is probably a better example with Matt Ryan. Tony Romo had a chip on his shoulder just like Matt Ryan did. And yeah, we're not going to see Matt Ryan win a Super Bowl. I mean, I think that he had the Super Bowl in his hands 2 years ago, and they ended up losing it. And it's 2 seasons ago, sorry. And it just sucks because he comes into the league as Matty Ice because he tells Roddy White to run a fucking go and you better fucking be there in his first throw of practice in the NFL. And people start calling him Matty Ice, and Matty Ice has made one Super Bowl and he's lost it. And it just sucks because he has such a big body of work that we're not going to see him win. And it's unfortunate, really. It's Atlanta. It's classic Atlanta sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, look at the Braves. I mean, how many division championships did they win? They should have won a lot more World Series than they did.
I used to hate the Braves.
Yeah.
Like, as
Chipper Jones, fuck you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Chipper. It's a garbage name.
Yeah, like why don't you go, ride a tractor or something, Why are you playing baseball? Chipper Jones is more of a golf name than anything else, no?
Yeah, or someone who's 800 pounds because he loves chips.
Yeah, it's like his nickname is Chipper. But this guy's
Smash and Frito-Lays.
Named him Chipper.
Yeah, it's the bad parenting.
Bad parenting.
Like that's maybe in fact, we shouldn't even hate the Braves. We should just hate Chipper Jones's parents.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I like that.
I feel like that's the best point we've ever made on the show.
Yeah.
We now know the Tennessee Titans and Pittsburgh Steelers game this week will be postponed as Titans players tested positive. But staying with last week, so I was as hyped as everyone else was for Chiefs and Ravens. I had some premium bud ready, got into headspace for that game, watched the game, and I was kind of disappointed. It wasn't a fun game. I'm gonna say it. It wasn't a fun game. There was a couple of ridiculous throws by Mahomes, but in general, the game kind of was one of these very plodding ball control kind of games, and it just wasn't exciting.
I didn't watch a lot of Monday Night Football because I was watching hockey like a man, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah. Um, are the Ravens the real deal? And when I was watching that game, I tweeted, I said, Ravens are pretenders. Trolling a bit. Trolling Alex the intern because,
obviously, as we do.
Yeah. But I do believe to some extent that they're not the Super Bowl contenders that we think. And I had them in Seattle in the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. I'm not taking them away from the Super Bowl for my prediction, but after seeing that, it's almost as if it's like they're the Colts and the Chiefs have become the Patriots of like the early 2000s, where the Colts couldn't figure it out. They can never beat the Patriots, or even the Jets. They can never beat the Patriots, no matter what.
That's like so. This is like the most sports radio topic of all time. Are they for real? Because like you could, I mean, there's so many teams you could have been asking that about for 20 years. But the thing that always happens with this kind of debate there is you move the yardstick, right? Like so, first Lamar Jackson couldn't throw. Right? Then he comes back last season. Oh my God, he can throw. But wait, he still can't win in the playoffs. Then when he wins in the playoffs, well, he hasn't won.
Beat the Chiefs.
And then he's gonna beat the Chiefs. And then like let's say he beats the Chiefs, and let's say he goes to the Super Bowl, and they don't win. Well, he never won the Super Bowl. Like so, then when he wins one, is it gonna be like, well, you only won one? Like,
yeah, you move the yardstick. Like,
if you remember, Peyton Manning was the guy who couldn't win the Super Bowl, and like. When you look back at his career, it's nonsense. Because how do you look at that and not say that's one of the most excellent players ever to play that position? And
nobody's gonna remember that his second Super Bowl win, he threw one interception and like 45 yards or whatever it was.
And he threw the ball directly at Von Miller. Von Miller was surprised by how open he was.
Yeah. But I'm not hating on the Ravens. I just think people need to slow down on how good they think they are. They'll be in the mix in the playoffs. There's no doubt they're going to be there. They're going to win their division. They're a great team. I'm not sold on them as everybody else is, I think.
Yeah, but and they, of course they want to do the thing that happens too all the time, and it's true, but it's kind of an overblown argument as well. As well, Lamar Jackson, he's still younger than Joe Burrow and younger than the kid from Home Alone when he was in those movies. And
at his age, he's done more than Joe Burrow has, or whatever it is.
It's just again, Lamar Jackson didn't choose when he got drafted. I mean, I guess he did. He chose to leave school, but just to say, he is the age he is, and he's not a finished product. And I remember I loved him at the draft. I wanted the Dolphins to draft him. I thought he was the best athlete in the draft, period. And to me, it's like, well, I know he's not a finished product, but if you're a coach being paid millions of dollars, why do you need to draft blue chip stock? Why can't you go out and take someone special and take them to the next level? And that's, I've been super appreciative of what Harbaugh has done since drafting him. But to me, the most amazing thing is the fact that he's already here. The fact that him and Pat Mahomes have already gone to this level. And look at what they play. They play with Andy Reid and John Harbaugh, the two coaches who best know how to manage talent, who best work with their talent and don't come in with this hard-ass Adam Gase type approach.
Adam Gase type approach is it's like taking a shit and then showering and then taking a shit.
But then you look at your better pieces of shit and you tell them you better get out of the bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Better get out of the bowl because you ain't swimming.
Yeah. So you just want to make sure that you keep all the good shit in the bowl and the rest of the shit is out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what Adam Gase's offense is like.
Just for clarity purposes, how big is this bowl?
It's actually it's called a Super Bowl. I don't know if you've heard the term. Yeah.
It's the biggest toilet ever. It's the biggest toilet of them all.
Super Bowl, and you can fit a lot of dumps in there. You can fit a lot of pieces of shit in there, and and one of the biggest pieces of shit in there is Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's really true.
Confusing eyes from our audience today.
The studio audience. It is crazy how quickly you get distracted at all times.
Yeah, it's weird, eh?
Every time Mo Khan walks into the studio, you start having an off-air conversation with him while you're on air.
That's because I love Mo Khan.
I understand, but you could just talk to him after the show.
But why?
Put a mic in his face.
Or he's right there right now. Why not just talk to him now?
Because we're doing a show.
Yeah,
and people only hear half of the conversation. It's so listening back to the shows. It's so disorienting because I no longer remember what Mo was saying. So I listen back and I'm like, I don't.
You can hear him. I listened to the show he was there. You can hear him. Yeah,
this time you could. The first time that happened, you couldn't hear him. Yeah. So, Terry, you've been wrong every step of the way when it comes to Lakers. I don't know why you don't want them to win.
No, it's not that
It's
I don't
just a
want them to
favorite
win.
thing.
Yeah, it's just I hate picking the favorites.
Yeah.
I hate jumping on everybody's bandwagon, and I like disagreeing with Alex the intern, who's a Lakers fan. So
That's also true. That he makes me want the Lakers to lose, even though like
yeah,
I've always said like I'm not the I basketball is my favorite sport, but I don't have a favorite team. I love the sport so much, and I can't have a favorite team for that reason. I just want excellence. I want to see the best basketball at all times.
so he makes it hard for us to want to see the best basketball.
Exactly. I don't like. I understand the Lakers are a better team,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to be the better team because Alex Tinton is a Lakers fan.
Yeah, so Alex the intern can suck my chode.
Good
What was
point.
yeah, I mean, to quote Marco Briette, 2019 Guest of the Year,
Yeah.
suck a fat one, Alex.
Oh.
I
I'm
want to see
surprised he
LeBron
didn't like
James
that
win.
as much as we thought he would.
Yeah,
Yeah, I laughed. I thought it was the
It
funniest
was
thing we've
great.
ever done.
It was great. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think he liked it. I just didn't. I think he thought he thought he was gonna get like a warming message from Marco. You know,
But it's like he doesn't know us. Like, you know that's what I'm going to
But that
do,
is
right?
a
Yeah,
warm
yeah.
message, though. Yeah.
it's pretty warm. I'd say from Marco standards, that's warm.
Yeah.
You
He
should hear what he
acknowledged
tells-
the existence of another person.
Yeah, you should hear what he tells me. It's unbelievable.
That's
But
how
I
it
want
shows
to
love.
I want to see LeBron win just to add to his record. I don't want to. He lost to the Heat or shit. They had nobody. So that's why Jordan's better. All that shit. You know what I mean? But I also don't want to see the Lakers win because Alex the intern is the Lakers fan.
So, they've been playing a lot of their 2-3 zone, which is, and if you read my article on hotshotsports.ca, there's actually even a video that explains why it's so effective and why the Heat are able to carry it out so well and relate to their length and their athleticism, their ability to flash and return, and a whole bunch of things that they do to make that zone super effective. But it does have its weaknesses, and I thought from the beginning that the weakness was going to be that LeBron is a great high post player, and they're going to have cutters coming from the baseline. And that's exactly what they did in game one. They attacked the baseline. They had LeBron work from the top of the post. And, I love Eric Spoelstra. He's my favorite coach in the NBA. I was so surprised that he didn't expect that from the Lakers.
You're throwing basketball terminology at me, so
Okay, so you know where the 3-point line is? There's a circle inside of that, right?
There is.
There's a circle on top of the trapezoid. It looks like a fucked up ice cream cone.
Oh, the key.
Yeah, the key. But you know what the circle is on top of the key?
Okay,
The line pie.
That's the high post.
that's the hype. Okay, no, I understand
So
that.
right,
but
right around the foul line. So
okay,
basically, the hole in their zone is there, and so basically, if you position someone there or someone drives into that area,
yeah.
someone like Bam needs to break the zone to come cover and come compensate, right? Because that's the hole where the zone is. Then what happens is someone comes from the baseline. The baseline, Terry, it adds to the guitar part of a song, and often sounds like doop, 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 doop.
I know
It
what the
also
baseline
is the end line of the basketball court.
I know what
That's
the
where the
baseline
players
is.
are coming from. So
It was more the high
basically,
post.
LeBron goes-
I'm running football routes here.
Exactly. So LeBron or AD attacks that area. They're both excellent ball handlers. They're both excellent passers, and then they get cutters coming in. So LeBron will get AD coming in. He'll drive to the hole if Bam doesn't cover. AD will do the same. They'll dish up for an open three because if Bam doesn't cover, then you're going to get someone from the outside coming in, and then they're going to leave the corner threes open. We talked about efficiency and how in the shooting in the bubble, how great it's been. Part of it's been that you get clear looks at the basket, and if you leave someone wide open, even someone who's a mediocre shooter can shoot much better in this environment.
And
a lot of basketball stuff. Do something else, Terry.
Do something else?
Yeah.
I'm
I'm sorry, I'm a basketball kid, right? So that's my thing.
It's your X's and O's in basketball. They throw me for a fucking loop sometimes. So I try to listen, but then I'm like, did he just say this? But it sounded like penis. But he was saying something else. I know he was, and then I started thinking that.
I tried to put it in your terms, so I try to compare it to penises as much as possible.
So the phallic thing at the top of the key,
Mhm.
that's the high post. That's what you should have said.
Yeah, there we go. So
Yeah.
so LeBron sits on the head of the cock. That's the weakness in the zone. There we go.
So that's the thing is, and that's another thing too, is that Are the Heat going to be able to provide enough offense to be able to counter the Lakers? And I don't think they will, even though I did pick them in 7. We'll see.
Yeah, they the problem is like Giannis is a great player, and especially at the age that he is at, his development's been awesome. The Pacers had nothing; they were just broken down. So whatever.
Yeah.
And then last round, going up against the Celtics, Jason Tatum is a fantastic player, but the secondary scoring wasn't great, and they just played in a way that allowed Miami to defend them well using the zone, which is what they wanted to do. But this is a whole other thing. Like, you now have two of the top 5, top 7, whatever. 2 of the top players in the NBA are on the same team, and your best player, whether it's Bam, whether it's Jimmy Butler, he would be at best the 3rd best player on that team.
It's true, and we talked about it with. Well, we're gonna talk about it with Carlan. Wink is that in basketball you have one guy that can change your franchise, and in this case they have 2 guys that can change your franchise. You know what I mean? So I just can't see the Lakers falling in this one now. After last night's game, it's too hard for me to see them drop 4 games.
Yeah. Tampa wins the Stanley Cup, Terry. So the Stanley Cup is back in Florida, which means there's an equal chance that it'll end up in every tanning salon and strip club, and
it's
may get fucked by a gator.
It's in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
It's not in Miami.
No, but still, Tampa's not better. It's also
Florida allowed the bars to open, and we saw Montreal native Alex Killorn at the rally. They had the parade today, and he was wearing his Tampa Bay D-Rays jersey, and he's hammered, and he's like, I just want to thank the governor of Florida for opening the bars for the boys, and now they're all going to get hammered. And I think there's people, fans, drinking out of the cup. Everybody was sharing the same liquid.
Oh my God. That's gross at any time.
At any time. Add COVID on top of that.
Jesus, you're just drinking disease, man. Like, come on. What's next?
God.
Cup of lupus?
Yeah. I won a championship once. Everybody was putting Gatorade inside the thing. I'm like, I'm not touching that shit. I'm not even close to touching that.
Never. It's the best way to get herpes. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's without a global pandemic happening. It's the best way to get herpes. The opposite of herpes, of course, being that Hedman gets the Conn Smythe. I'm happy for the dude. Like, he's
so fucking good. He's so fucking good, man. This guy is huge. He's 6'6", skates like the wind. He's got a clapper of a shot. He's probably got a fucking 8-inch rope on him in between his legs. He's a fucking monster, man. The guy is a modern day mix of Chara and Lidstrom. I'm not even lying. His skill set is something that I've never seen before. You could have given it the Conn Smythe to either him. You could have given it to Braden Point. You could have even given it to Kucherov. But I think giving it to Hedman is the right call. The guy he shut down every top line. The Stars couldn't do anything. Seguin was banged up. He had a laundry list of injuries, so that's why he didn't play as well. But he still shut down their other guys. And it was just impressive to watch Hedman, Vasilevsky, and I'm happy for Steven Stamkos finally getting his name on a cup. I mean, I think he's been in that organization since the beginning of his career, first overall pick, and he's the captain, man. They rallied around him, and it was nice to see him lift the Stanley Cup. It was nice to see him play one game in the finals and scoring a goal, even though he was injured. That's a hockey thing right there. Like that, you don't get that in any of the sports where guys will be like, okay, I just want to play one game just to contribute.
Just sheer recklessness, yeah.
That's it, yeah. And he comes in, scores, dude, plays the one period.
In other sports, you run in shoes. Here, they glide on swords.
So nice, yeah. So my uncle was trying to explain what soccer was to our family members in Greece, and he's like, yeah. So you put knives at the bottom of your shoes, and you glide on ice, and they're like, that doesn't exist.
That's stupid.
Like, it just doesn't exist.
Why would anybody do this?
Why would humans do that? Why would you put knives at the bottom of your feet?
I am happy for Stamkos because he kind of, he exists in the same space as Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby and doesn't often get the credit for his excellence.
Top 10 player every year.
I was talking to one of our contributors, Christian Johnson Galvez, who's done a lot of our hockey coverage in the past. And he told me that before the series started, he's like, I kind of want Tampa to win just because, when they were building that team, there was a lot of doubters saying it doesn't work. The super teams don't work in the NHL. And, It's proof that it can, and it's proof that this is a method that can get you results, and we saw that this year.
John Cooper, also head coach of the Lightning. I mean, that guy didn't even want to become a coach. His story is pretty interesting. He coached his son team because they were missing a coach when he was like a kid, and then they had success, and then he got another job and another job and another job. He was actually a lawyer. He was a public defender, and he started doing this part time, and then he ended up moving up, and then he fucking wins the Stanley Cup. It just goes to show what kind of a guy he is. Also, at his press conference at post game, Eagle, if you can get the picture up for everybody, for the viewers, is John Cooper didn't want to do the interview alone, the press conference alone. He had his entire coaching staff and personal training staff with him on the dais, and there was it just shows the type of guy that John Cooper is, and a lot of guys, he's known to be a little bit of a hard ass. But I think the guys really liked him. He got along great with Pat Maroon, who was a free agent who won the Stanley Cup last year with St. Louis, signed for $1 million to the Lightning, wins the Stanley Cup again. It's great, man. I'm happy for the Lightning. Again, the thing about Stamkos is that I was worried that he was going to be one of those guys like a Joe Thornton that just could never win. I'm happy he won. On the other side, on a lesser note, is Joe Pavelski on the other side, coming up short again. He leaves the Sharks last year, signs with the Stars, makes it to the finals, loses it in 6. It's tough, man, because that guy too, he's another fucking legend. He's a beauty that knows how to play hockey, and he's one of the best guys on the ice at any time. And there's so many guys in all sports that just don't win championships. We can talk about the greatest. To me, Dan Marino is top 3 quarterback of all time, never won a championship. Charles Barkley never won a championship. We can talk about these guys forever, and their lack of rings shouldn't take away from their body of work. I think you say this often, where championships should never define you if you make
because
a Hall
it's a team
of Fame.
accomplishment,
Exactly,
right? Like it's not a singular person. Like Dan Marino, it's not his fault that the Dolphins never put a defense together.
Yeah,
right?
but
when he was there.
So, but Alex the intern said,
and that still rings true 35 years later or whenever it is.
Yeah, Alex exactly. The intern said something that was probably, I don't want to say dumb, but it was pretty weird comment. He said, "If I'm Stamkos, I don't want my name on the Stanley Cup." First of all, he's not some fourth liner. He's the captain of the team. He's literally built that team. He's been there since day one. He was with them when they were shit. So if anybody gets their name, he's the first person to put their name on the fucking Stanley Cup. I don't give a shit. And I understand the whole competitive nature of it. It's like, I didn't play, so I don't deserve it. There's nobody that deserves that Stanley Cup more.
He also played the regular season to get them into playoffs, right?
Oh, no, he was injured a lot. And so the rule is you have to play 41 games, which is 50% of the season, or 1 game in the Stanley Cup final, not the playoffs. So he played 1 game in the Stanley Cup final, so he's automatically getting his name on the cup. But either way, there's exemption lists. They would have put his name on the cup regardless. But to say that I wouldn't ask for it to be on the name, it's
nonsense.
That's
Eagle, what I need you to do is you need to book me a first-class flight to LA.
Yeah.
It's got to be first class because I got to get completely hammered so that I can show up at Alex Intern's house and just vomit on him, because that's a vomit take. Straight up vomit take.
And it's all going to be the alcohol infusing your stomach, right? So it's going to be pure liquid.
100%. Just straight up. You know that booze puke that just, it smells like stomach acid.
Oh yeah, I know the one.
And like what it would smell like if you just shat batteries. That's what it would be like. That's the vomit. Terry, up next, we're going to talk to Carlan Gay. He's one of our favorite guests. He's been a voice on NBA sound system. He's bigwig at the Zone, and he is a play-by-play commentator for FIBA. The guy's credentials are longer than anyone on our show, so it's always a pleasure to have him on because he's just a great voice. We'll talk to him about the NBA Finals coming up next.
This show is brought to you by Mike's BBQ Rub, home of the best rubs in town, and La Sauce barbecue sauce. Peace.
Just like Rubbercraft, I can't resist a good rub down, and Mike's barbecue sauce is the best rub down in town.
So visit Mike's BBQ Rub, MTL.com, and use Hot Sauce 10 promo code for 10% off on all individual bottles. That's Hot Sauce 10 for 10% off. And don't forget to rub your meat peas.
And we're back because clearly we recorded something ahead of this, and we've done this all in sequence. And we aren't lying to anybody at all. We're joined by Carlan Gay. Carlan, how's it going, man?
Can't complain, guys. It's been a long time, but I'm happy to be here.
Was Carlan our first guest?
He might have been actually. He might actually have been a first guest.
I think
Yeah.
Carlan was a first guest. If it wasn't him, it was Shaq Finn.
Yeah. Well, he was.
Wow.
He was one of the first 3 shows for sure.
Yeah, top three.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that means I'm a pioneer, and I appreciate the the opportunity to blaze the trail. I'm glad that you got rid of your dead weight for the show. I conspicuous by his absence, Mr. Mokan no longer on board, but that's fine.
He makes some appearances here and there, but we kind of keep him at a very safe distance. We let him tweet about his nonsense.
I saw this tweet that he put out earlier today. Carlan Mokan tweeted, "Good question," and then he asked whatever question it was. So I was very impressed that he complimented his question before asking it to the Twitterverse. I was very, very impressed.
Great question.
Carlan Gay is
one of the most egotistical guys you'll ever meet, man. And one of the most egotistical guys you'll ever meet. It surprises me that he hasn't had to have surgery to replace his shoulder for as much as he pats himself on the back. It's really ridiculous.
It's either surgery for that shoulder or to reduce the size of his head. Carlan Gay is Director of Partnerships and Multimedia for NBA Global Systems at The Zone. He's a FIBA play-by-play commentator and voice on NBA Sound Systems. So, obviously, with the NBA Finals having just kicked off, and as much as Terry keeps picking against the Lakers, the Lakers have taken a 1-0 lead, and we thought it'd be a great time to have you back on the show, Carlan. We had a bit of a lull because first there was no sports, and then there's been nonstop sports, but now we got the NBA Finals. It is here.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that, well, first of all, having the NBA Finals in the middle of October or the champion being crowned in October when normally we would get preseason basketball around now, or teams would be flying around the world. Last year around this time, the Raptors were in China. They had the India Games for the first time ever around this time last year. I think the anniversary is coming up this week of that, where the Pacers and Kings squared off in India. It was crazy to see, that the league is happening now with all 4 sports. If you're a sports fan, you're probably even overwhelmed. Like I wanted to watch the Blue Jays baseball playoff game, and they were out of the game, the series before I could even turn on a game. I totally forgot they were playing, and they're out the playoffs completely. So there's a lot going on. But as for NBA fans, it's great. Even though it's a weird time that the finals are happening now, it's still the finals, and it's still something for you to be excited about. I think basketball fans across the globe are really rejoicing.
So, Pete said this a few weeks ago, and I agree to the sentiment, is that you're kind of seeing the most pure, when the NHL and basketball, you're seeing the most pure game for both of them, especially in basketball. I find there's no crowd noise, there's no interruptions, it's just them playing, and you can tell that they all want to get out of the bubble, but they want to get out of the bubble with some hardware, and it's been very fun to watch, I will say. And even as a Pacers fan, I will say the NBA playoffs have been very fun to watch. And I do enjoy picking against the Lakers and losing money.
Constantly, though.
Yeah. Well, I did win yesterday because I picked that the Heat would be in the lead after the first quarter, so I won some money there. So.
Yeah.
But I also took them for the game, lost money there too. So.
We actually put an article, Carlan, on our website talking about the efficiency and the clear sight lines, and how the scoring efficiency has gone up, and just now by having to pick up shooters from so far away, it actually opens up all aspects of the game. And what we're watching is, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful basketball I've ever seen. What have been your thoughts about watching the game in the bubble?
I agree with you in terms of the purity of the game. Like you remove everything that has made the NBA popular in a sense, in terms of celebrities sitting courtside and atmospheres and great arenas and stuff that we all love about sports. But if you're a true sports fan, you fell in love with sports, growing up playing in your backyard, whether it's just one-on-one pretending to be MJ. There's no crowd there. There's no music being played. There's no celebrities walking around in your backyard, cheering you on. So now you have the same sort of, throwback feel as to when you were a kid, where it's just purely about the game. You get to hear all the chatter, minus all the bleeps that's been happening when, guys do cuss. But the pure, bred basketball is being played on the floor. And I think, the guys are thriving in it. There's really no distractions for them. It's basketball 24/7. And we are reaping the benefits, as what you said. A lot of guys have stepped up big time in the bubble. And you hope that continues on and kind of powers them to the next level of next season. And when crowds get back into position, you maybe we might see better basketball than we had, 2 years ago. But that's not to say that the game has been in a bad place. That's just to say that the game continues to evolve. And, if you told me we would be here watching this style of basketball with the three-point shooting, the efficiency in the 90s when it was just a bunch of big men that really were trying to pound things in the paint, plus Michael Jordan, I would be shocked. So, yeah, it is a good progression, and the way we've been evolving is amazing. And it doesn't seem like it's slowing down anytime soon.
It's the thing about basketball is that we can talk about Silver. I mean, he's been great in growing the sport. I mentioned hockey before, Bettman, the same thing. And I think that everybody was saying cancel the sport, cancel the season. I think that regardless if you're losing money, you needed to keep it going, morals and all that stuff. But I do appreciate the fact that right now we're seeing, like we mentioned before, the purest state of basketball. Now, my question to you is there anybody out there, well, let's say we'll talk about the two teams left, anybody out there that's benefiting from the no fans, any specific player that's benefiting from the no fans and the no talking and maybe just being able to cuss out there? I'm thinking a guy like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's playing out of his mind right now. And I think that the fact that he can just be there with no crowd noise, just him talking shit to the other team is unbelievable to me.
Yeah, he's been good in the bubble. He really has, and I think I think it's less about the fact that there's no fans and more about the fact that he realizes he has a good team and he's trying to seize the opportunities that he did not capitalize on the last couple of trips. This is a guy that was in Chicago who, when he got there, they had just gotten back to relevance from the Michael Jordan years. Like, you remember, like Derrick Rose got them back there, and then he dealt with injuries, and that's when Jimmy Butler sort of shows up and he sort of kind of grinds his way to being an NBA All-Star, the Jimmy Butler that we know and love. And before you know it, Tom Thibodeau gets fired and he's off. And everything that Jimmy Butler knew in that situation was completely gone. He was going back to, as he's getting ready to become a guy that's trying to chase a ring and find himself in this league and create a legacy, the team wasn't ready for that. He goes to Minnesota to try and reunite with Tom Thibodeau, and that's a good move for him. Then he has two great stars, young stars, and Anthony Towns, Carl Anthony Towns, and you're talking about Andrew Wiggins, fellow Canadian, but they weren't ready to win there. And he moves to the Sixers, and again, same situation, two great young stars, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. They're building this championship core. They're not ready to win, and now he finds himself in Miami. And Miami wasn't picked at the beginning of the year by many people to be in this spot right here, but their mentality was always win. Their mentality is always win a championship. That's what they've strived for. I know all 30 teams are going to tell you that, but not all 30 teams are willing to take the steps to make that happen. And Miami is one of those teams. And it's the first time in a long time. 4 teams in 4 years, it could go south. But it's the first time in a long time that Jimmy Butler, I think, is on the same page with the organization. And he realizes right now that he has an opportunity to add some jewelry to his finger. And guys, in sports, doesn't matter what league it is, winning is hard. I think we start to take it for granted because we see greatness on a daily basis from different athletes in different leagues. You talk about LeBron James going to 10 finals, and we kind of take that for granted and think to ourselves, like, that should happen. The Warriors just went to the finals for 5 straight appearances, and we kind of get bored with it as fans. But the reality is winning isn't hard. Like, it's hard to not just get to the finals, but it's also hard to win the finals. And a guy like Jimmy Butler is seizing that opportunity, whether there was going to be a 20,000 crowd, 20,000 people in the crowd yelling, screaming, or it's just, Fred VanVleet's daughter waving. He's going to come out on the floor and dominate. A lot of cute little babies there, but he's there to win championships. So I don't think he would have cared where he would have played.
So, Carlan, you mentioned, about how winning is hard. And one of the things that came up when I was researching my article was that I just hadn't realized this, that the Heat have taken 3 different cores in 15 years to the finals a combined 6 times now. So, like, that to me is absolutely impressive. Have you ever seen a precedent like this in, let's start with basketball, but any sport really, to be able to rebuild completely 3 times within a decade and a half and make it to the finals with such regularity?
I think the closest thing we've probably seen to that might be stuff that the Yankees have been able to do with, winning in the 90s and then rebuilding, but they're in a non-cap sport.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit unfair. The Patriots, obviously, in the NFL, but they had the one guy that stuck there and the coach that has been there for years, and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They were able to win in different ways and had different players come through that system and still have some success. And I know in hockey early on, you think about, the Red Wings, even though they didn't win at a high level each and every single time, they rebuilt pretty quickly and had things turn around. They had the Larionovs and those guys, and then they moved on to the Datsuks and those guys, and were able to have success in that window. Didn't turn out to be successful championship-wise, but they had a lot of success in those kind of eras. So when you talk about the NBA, like I said, it's hard to win. But in the NBA, you can flip the switch a little easier in a sense that one player really can change the dynamic of your entire franchise. But it's different in Miami in the sense that they've been able to do that, so to speak, 3 different times. Now, this time being in the finals, where they had D-Wade to start with. He got the ring done. They had LeBron James, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh. They were able to win there. And now they have Jimmy Butler with an opportunity to see if they can add to that legacy. I think the one thing that sticks out to me the most about all of what Miami is doing, and, Pat Riley's going to get a lot of credit for building that and Heat culture. But I think Erik Spoelstra kind of gets left out of that mix a little bit. And when you're talking about head coaches in the league, he's the second longest tenured head coach in the league behind Greg Popovich. He's been around the organization for now 25 years. And if you watch the finals throughout, they're going to talk about how he worked his way up from the video coordinator room. And we all know that story, right? Yeah. But I think what gets lost in the sauce here is this dude has, in 12 years as the Heat head coach, he's taken them to the playoffs in 10 of those years, or 9 of those years. And he's only had a losing season twice in those 12 years. And in those 9 playoff runs, he's been to the finals now 5 times. That's over 50% that you're getting to the finals with a team, doesn't matter who it is. I don't care if you had LeBron James on your team or not. That's pretty impressive to do that, in that small window of time, because, I'm always going to say it. Winning is hard, and we should never take that for granted. And I think, everybody makes a lot about how Andre Iguodala is now in his, 6th straight finals appearance, and LeBron's in his 10th out of 9 out of the last 10 years. But no one said anything about Erik Spoelstra getting there to his 5th NBA finals, and also doing it 5 times in the last 9, in his 9 playoff runs. That's pretty impressive in my opinion, and I think he deserves a lot more credit. When you have a good coach in the NBA, you can build a system that players can fit to, and you can have some success. Once you get a superstar, which he does have now in Jimmy Butler and to a lesser extent Bam Adebayo, that's what takes you to the championship level. And he really, truly deserves a lot more credit than what he's getting.
So, I think it's obvious that LeBron and AD are the 2 best players, but the next best 5 players are most likely they're all the Heat players. We talk about maybe not necessarily talent-wise. There's a bunch of guys on the Lakers that are maybe more talented than some of the players on the Heat, but I think that Spoelstra brings that environment where everybody's going to play properly. They're going to do everything the right way, and regardless, Pease and I talk about this all the time. We're extremely high on Spoelstra. We've always been. And the reason is that, the story of him being a film guy, for sure, everybody knows that. But the fact that even if you had LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade, you still have to coach these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're coaching.
That's not easy to do.
Yeah, you're coaching superstars. And I think that LeBron James is a very smart guy, and he's a coach on the court in another way. But I think every coach can benefit from having a guy like that for sure. But you still have to manage these guys and have them buy into a system and kind of forget about maybe something that that they want to do. And I think Spoelstra, he doesn't get the respect he deserves as one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah,
and one of the things too, to your point, Carlan, they talk about the film room, but this is a guy who Pat Riley stepped down from the coaching position to promote over himself. And for a guy with the ego of Pat Riley to be able to do that, there must be something special about this coach, and we've seen that. To your point.
Yeah, and you think about when I think about the biggest compliment I could pay to Spoelstra is look at LeBron James. All right, he's been now on his 3rd team. And you look at the coaches he's had in his NBA career. Every time he's left a situation, the coach hasn't gotten a head coaching job since. Mike Brown, he had him as a head coach. He's fired. He's never gotten a head coaching job since. David Blatt, that was obviously a disaster. He's back in Europe. Ty Lue, he got the 3-1 in the finals. He was able to win the championship with Ty Lue. Ty Lue hasn't been a head coach since. Eric Spoelstra is the only one that's been able to stand the test of time without LeBron James. And that doesn't often happen in sports. So that, to me, shows you that he belongs in this league. Because, when you coach a guy like LeBron or a talent like LeBron, it's rare that your head coach gets any sort of credit. And we see it in all sports. It's not just the NBA. Like Bill Belichick, there's always the argument whether or not he would be able to be successful without Brady or whether or not Brady would be able to be successful without him. We're finally going to be able to find the answer this year. Maybe it's a little too late to really and truly find that out, but we finally get some answer in a way. And in the NBA, it's no different. Phil Jackson was questioned about whether or not he could win without Michael. Well, he goes to LA and proves that, and now he's in the upper echelon of one of the greatest coaches of all time. And that same thing happens with Pat Riley. He leaves the Showtime Lakers, takes the Knicks to the finals, and wins a championship with the Heat, and now he's elevated to all-time greatness. So I think Eric Spoelstra has an opportunity, and it's one of the storylines I would love to see in this finals is truly, if he was able to win this series, now you no longer talk about, everyone knows he's a good coach, but now you put him in the conversation of being a great coach because he's proven that he can do it with multiple different teams, different styles of basketball, and he doesn't have a true superstar on his team. He has all-stars, but no true number one player in the league.
So as a Pacers fan and as a Greek person, I have to ask you two questions. One is Oladipo is going to be gone out of Indiana. I mean, I think it's obvious. Where would he land? I mean, everybody's talking about the Lakers. Is that a possibility, or can the Pacers keep Oladipo? Or if not, where's he going to land?
Well, why would you want to get rid of him? What's the rush in getting rid of Victor Oladipo? You can't say that this year's the reason. But he can ask all he wants, but he's still under contract, right? Like you can't say that this year is the year that proved to you that he can't play basketball because we didn't even see him play. Like the dude was coming off a major injury that very few people come back from. You have to allow him time, and it was a weird situation where he said before the bubble that he wasn't going to play because he wasn't ready. And then all of a sudden, like a week before, found out, who knows what happened. I think it was money related, but who knows truly what happened. And then he starts playing again, and he obviously clearly wasn't ready. He wasn't the Victor Oladipo we know and love. Let's not forget, in the 2017 playoffs, this dude almost beat LeBron James in the first round. He looked as one of the 12 best players in the NBA at that time. So I'm still going to view Victor Oladipo as a guy that can get back there. We need to know that his body will be willing to and able to kind of stand up to that. So if I'm the Pacers organization, I'm not rushing to get rid of Victor Oladipo. I'm worried about getting a coach that's going to connect with him on the level that Nate McMillan figured out a way to kind of connect with him, and probably a coach that could get more playoff success than Nate McMillan because he hasn't been great at in the postseason.
Well, I don't know why they got rid of Vogel when they had him. I mean, I thought he was doing great, and then they ended up just getting rid of him. I mean, I don't know what the reason is. I think they had made the playoffs that year too, and it was just weird that they got rid of him because he had so much success with the Pacers. He made them look great, and especially Oladipo's first year. I mean, the year before he came. So I like Vogel as a coach. I mean, I think we're looking at all the success he's had. My second question is, I would love Oladipo to stay. I don't want him to leave. I like him. I think he's a great player. I think he's a top 20 player in the league when he's 100%. My second question is Giannis, the Greek freak. Where is he going? Is he going to Toronto? Please no. That's all I'm going to say.
So I'll answer it this way. First of all, I don't think Giannis leaves. I think the Bucks organization will try to do everything they can to keep him and make him happy. Whether or not their moves actually, turn that team into a championship situation, that remains to be seen. I'm very critical of their head coach, Mike Budenholzer. I think he's, a good coach, but lacks the ability to make those adjustments that need to be made from game to game in the playoffs. And we saw that twice now. So it's on him it's not saying that it can't be done. It's on him to now grow in a game. We always ask our players, to get better, add a 3-point jump shot, add a off the bounce move, do something with yourself. How about coaches figure out a way to add something to their repertoire? I think that's Mike Budenholzer for him. In terms of whether or not I think Giannis should end up in Toronto or go to Toronto, I ask myself this question more often than not is, how would that look next to Pascal Siakam? We knew how it looked with Pascal next to Kawhi Leonard. They were two totally different players that did not do the same thing, and it worked out well. They won an NBA championship. I looked at the Bucks and how they lost in the playoffs, and I wondered, if you added Pascal Siakam, especially the way he played, in the postseason, and what teams were doing to stop him, it was similar to what they were doing to stop Giannis. So now you have two players where defenses are going to be able to have relatively the same game plan to stop, and those are your two best players. How do you build around that? Lowry's not getting any younger. Van Vliet, he deserves the contract, whatever contract he gets, because he's earned it so far. But he's not a guy that's going to, turn you from a 50-win team to a 60-win team. He's a nice player. He's a piece to a championship. He's not the centerpiece. So I wonder what that looks like when you have Giannis and Siakam playing next to each other. I think that's too much of the same thing, and I don't know that that's a successful recipe to win a championship. Will you be a 60-win team in the regular season? Cool. But you know what? It's about winning rings now. At this point in Toronto's kind of building legacy. Once you win once, you get that taste. You want to do it over and over again. So winning the first seed in the Eastern Conference, that's not going to be good enough.
So unfortunately, Carlan, you do need to be leaving us in a couple of minutes. You informed us of the deadline, which sucks because your basketball information is excellent. So we want to keep talking to you about hoops. And I wanted to touch on some social issues, but you knew that ahead of time, so you just went long-winded on the basketball.
Give me one question. Give me one question here. I'll give you the extra 5.
I don't want to do it a disservice.
5, 10. All right.
We do rapid fire on our show, so let's do rapid fire. I got 2 rapid fire questions for you, and then we'll call it an interview. First rapid fire is, when you see Jason Whitlock talk about how LeBron James is making him have to choose between basketball and the NBA, what does Carlan Gay think? Sorry, between basketball and the USA.
Well, as a non-American, it's easy for me to say that's a non-choice, because you can separate. For the same people that shout out keep sports out of politics, they can easily keep their political views out of it, essentially. And I'm not a believer in social justice issues being a political issue. I think it's a humanity issue first, before anything. So that would be my short answer to that in a rapid fire. I wouldn't see a dilemma there.
So the second rapid fire question, and this is the real serious topic. This is the big one. So Terry and I, before the show, we were talking about something, again, very serious. We talked about which movie were people the least likely to be getting laid during in a movie theater. We contended it was all of the Harry Potter movies.
All of them, every single one.
What is what's your guess for the movie for which people get laid the least in movie theaters?
Yeah.
Probably Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, okay.
I don't know. Unless you're into dinosaurs.
But that's the thing. There's a fetish for everything, right? So yeah.
That is true. That's true. But speaking for me, Carlan Gay, I don't know if you could do it in Jurassic Park. That's when you just enjoy popcorn.
There's too much noises too. You don't know what things are coming from. It's like you're all over the place.
Yeah. Plus, like, you see a Tyrannosaurus Rex, he can't pleasure himself because the short arms. He lives a rough life. Carlan, thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to go. We're gonna have you on again soon. By either before the end of the finals or right after, because I do want to get into a lot of this other serious stuff. But unfortunately, technology and time is not on our side this night.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me, and yes, I make a promise to come back on and actually talk about the real issues. Everyone can talk about sports, but let's get into the real stuff.
Appreciate it. Talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, Carlan.
Later.
This show is brought to you by Mike's BBQ Rub, home of the best rubs in town, and La Sal's barbecue sauce, peas.
Absolutely. They will get you satisfied in 12 seconds or less, just like Rick Pitino at that restaurant.
So visit Mike's BBQ Rub, MTL.com, and use Hot Sauce 10 promo code for 10% off on all individual bottles. That's Hot Sauce 10 for 10% off. And peas, don't forget to rub your meat.
And we're back. That was an awesome interview with Carlan Gay. That was totally in sequence. So we have run short on time because that conversation with Carlan was excellent, and we pushed it as far as we possibly could. But now it is time for rapid fire.
All right, first one I have for you, Hump KO. Israel Adesanya humps Paulo Costa after second round knockout in the UFC. We have a video of it, actually, which is very rare for us.
It's about a minute long, this video. So he's gonna knock him out right here. The ref's gonna stop it, and then as soon as the ref stops it, you see Israel Adesanya just kind of get on his back and hump him. Watch. And he's just going to kind of ride him a little bit. Whoop, whoop. I mean, I love this and I hate this. I love this because it's just going to add more animosity to it. It's going to make it better for the viewership and stuff. I hate it because it kind of takes away from the whole respect of martial arts thing. I don't hate it that much. Honestly, I think it's great for the sport. People are going to be watching. It's funny. They talk shit to each other a bunch. You know what I mean? And
I just, I like it because it's pretty accurate. Paulo Costa as a like-minded Paulo, that we're both power bottoms, so it is what it
exactly.
is.
I'm a
Paulo
power
Costa, way to represent.
I'm a power bottom, especially to my girlfriend / fiance over there.
All right, next one. The MLB playoffs have begun, so we're currently in wild card rounds. The Jays lost to the Rays. The Yankees beat Cleveland. I think Houston beat Minnesota. I think Oakland just beat Chicago. I'm trying to get updates on the scores as we go on here. There's a few other games that are still going on at this point. So is it just a complete mess? Like, who do you guys have getting to the World Series in both sides here, in the American League and the National League?
Oh, that's a tough one.
So if the thing that they say about baseball playoffs is actually true and not just jargon, then it is safe to say, as much as I hate to say it because Corey Kennedy of the Cubs is a friend of the show, the Marlins have an absolute star-studded pitching staff, and they developed very quickly. I can't even believe during the playoffs, but now they get to bring out their top 3 starters night after night. So it could be them. That said, I can't see how anyone gets by the Dodgers.
The Dodgers, the Dodgers have this have the factor with Clayton Kershaw that he's a choker, but there's no fans now, so maybe Kershaw is gonna pick it up. I like the Indians this
but
year.
Also the Astros were cheating. He's a choker because he has the best off-speed stuff in the world, and they didn't swing and miss on any of his off-speed pitches.
Yeah, but it's been years. It's been years that he's been choking. So I don't know. To answer your question, I'm gonna say Indians, Cubs. That's gonna be my team. My team's in the playoffs, in the finals. Indians, Cubs. Right. I think the Indians have a pitching staff that is beyond.
That's also true. They're the AFC. They're not AFC. They're the American League version of the Marlins with even better hitting. So they got just a 6 staff.
All right, next on the list, no coach, no problem. There was an interview with Kyrie Irving who spoke on the coaching situation, and he says, I don't really see us having a, quote, head coach. KD could be a head coach. I could be a head coach someday. And he adds on, Jacques Vaughn could be a head coach, and he can do it one day. It's a collaborative effort. So there is no coach. Everyone's a coach.
Oh, my God. Fuck this guy. Kyrie is a fucking dummy, man.
So I don't think Kyrie's attention. Dumb. Kyrie's not dumb. Kyrie speaks in a way to get reaction, right? So he's actually a fairly introspective guy. He is weird. I'm not saying he's not weird. He's really strange. But I will say, to his point, the hierarchical structure of having this hard-ass coach, we know, especially in the NBA, that doesn't work. It is a collaboration. I do think you need a coach. I think you need someone who works he's not in charge of the talent, but he works with the talent to find the best ways to get something out of them. But Kyrie is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a flat earth.
This is going to be a fun one. We had the presidential debate a few days ago. It was the most entertaining thing I've ever seen, except for the fact that all our lives are dependent on it. So it was actually
a
terrifying.
Dumpster fire is what it was.
Yeah, I love how CNN actually had it quoted saying, this was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire inside a train wreck.
That was Jake Tapper, too, out of all people, and it's very easy if you're a right-leaning guy or a left-leaning guy to just side with your guy in that debate. But I think everybody's looking at it as like, these are the two biggest idiots we've ever had. And it just sucks because you have one guy that didn't let the other one talk, and you had the other one who, if you let him talk, would just confuse himself.
So the thing is, we're reaching a point where we've never had as much polarization when it comes to political views. We have a couple of things working against us as a free society. We have the fact that people are entrenched in their political opinions regardless of what the parties actually represent. They just associate themselves with a party, which doesn't make any sense. The next thing that we're seeing is people have become totally one-issue voters. So if I'm anti-abortion, let's say, I'm going to
You're
vote
right.
for the party that's anti-abortion, regardless of what the rest of the party stands for. So now what happens is the debates aren't for regular people. The debates are for the worst 10% of society. Debates are to rally
10%. I think it's
the worst parts of society who basically need this as a rallying call to go out and vote. And it's just speaking to the lowest common denominator. They should instead, the lowest common denominator instead should stop wasting their time on debate and come watch Hot Sauce Sports because we joke about dicks and farts.
This debate did nothing. There's no more people voting for Trump. There's no more people voting for Biden.
No,
This debate,
it's garbage.
it was a 2-hour waste of time.
Absolutely.
And last segment, this is actually breaking news. The Doc is in. Doc Rivers agrees to 5-year deal or contract to coach the Philadelphia 76ers. Pease, I think you actually predicted this a few shows ago.
I did.
You
But
did. You said
first-
Sixers. Nice.
I did. Eagle, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this one thing though. I'm gonna slow clap for you. Because the Doc is in, you ad-libbed that one. We didn't give you anything to work with. That was great. That was great dad jokes by you. That's the best part of Rapid Fires. We get to slip in all the dad jokes.
Pokemon reference, which is even better.
Absolutely. So I guess the Sixers are going to be the next team to blow a 3-1 lead, right? So like you can't just do that 3 times. You need symmetry. You need to do it with 4 teams in 4 decades. The 2020s are about to start. So let's get it on with Doc Rivers. I guess.
With the new president.
The problem with the Sixers is not entirely coaching. I don't think Brett Brown was a great coach, but at the same time, they need complementary pieces to work around their stars, and they need to find a way to get Simmons and Embiid to be able to play together and not clutter up the paint the way they do.
I also just realized I've worn this T-shirt for the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta do your laundry.
No, I do it, but this ended up being my Thursday shirt for some reason.
All right, I'm glad you had.
And if you would like a shirt that you can wear every Thursday, you can DM us, and I will bring one to you at the lowest cost.
Yeah, just slide into Terry
Whatever I decide
or
that
his
day.
DMs, and he'll fill you up with a shirt. So that's been you. That's been your shirt. Eagle, you've been you. I've been Peas, and is there a drop?
Trust me, it played.
Just don't ask the question. Let it play.
Hot Sauce Sports.
I don't know how this works, man. It's terrible. I missed the studio already. I miss it. That was a great show. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carlan Gay. That was awesome.
Are we still recording?
I don't know. There's no way I can know that, Terry.
I know, but I'm asking Eagle.